Hello, darlings. How are you? So, what is emotionally unavailable? And the reason I'm talking about this right now is because it's almost a disorder. It's almost like narcissism, and in some cases, it could be confused with narcissism, and it could be narcissism. But the problem with it is that people who have it don't know it, and you might go out of your way to try to connect with them emotionally, and you just freaking can't, and you think it's your fault. You say, wow, why is this person not there for me? My mother just died, or my dog just died, or, I'm worried that I've got some disease, and why can't they hold my hand or be there for me? And in fact, why are they so insensitive? Why are they disconnected? They can even go so far as to be sarcastic. That's one of the worst things emotionally detached people do. Is you might be saying, God, I'm really worried about losing my job, or my dog just got hit by a car, or my mom's dying in the hospital, and they're just like, oh man, get over yourself. Your mom's 84 years old. Or I mean, they have this way of going, oh, that's your problem because you are so sensitive. Or emotionally unavailable people, and please write that down. They have a tendency to be completely disconnected, and they make you feel like it's your problem. They don't make it you feel like it's your fault that they are emotionally disconnected, because they don't even know they are. But what they act like is that you're too sensitive, or that you're overreacting, or that you are too emotional. What people do that are emotionally disconnected is they're distant, and they're unavailable, and this is so important, they're there's no empathy, and there's no sympathy. They persistently have a difficult time expressing themselves. They don't get too close emotionally, and they can even seem, like I said, standoffish or sarcastic. And by the way, they can be really happy people. Oh God, I'm so happy. Life's so good. Let's go play. And yet, when you're like, oh my God, I'm really going through something really tough. My son's breaking up with his girlfriend, or my dad just got diagnosed with cancer, or I'm struggling because I just got a bad mammogram. They can't be there for you. And they're like, oh, hun, oh gosh, let's go da 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 da, or that's kind of female. Or the male's version is, oh, okay, man, really, get over yourself, man. They just cannot step in. And the reason you need to know that these people are out there is because you may be, as I am, a hyper vigilant, emotionally sensitive person. And the worst thing you can do is be with an emotionally unavailable person. Now, I want to clarify that I'm not talking about someone who's calm and in control of their emotions and available to connect with you on a really intimate level, but they don't overreact and they help you calm down. That's a beautiful thing. I'm talking about someone, and right now in your life who I'm talking about, who's just on the flittering edge of reality with regard to being there for you when you really, really need emotional support. Um, Painful emotions, emotions that make them feel uncomfortable or vulnerable, are very, very, very challenging. And so, well, how does that look, Lucinda? Well, how it looks is, if you're in a relationship with someone, like if I happen to be dating a guy, for example, which I'm dating a beautiful, fabulous man right now who's very emotionally available. But I've dated men who weren't. But if you're dating someone who's not, and you're like, oh my God, I've got to fly to be for my niece because she's going through this. What is wrong with you? You're going to fly all the way there to be with your niece? I mean, what they do is they turn it on you, and they make you feel bad about being emotionally available. Um, it's hard because it can affect you in romantic partnerships, close friendships, parent and child relationships, business relationships. And if you're a bleedingly emotionally available person, and most people with anxiety are, and I am, like, I love that song, wear my heart out on my sleeve. I do. Like it's a big deal. People who are emotionally available, like you and like me, when someone cries, we're like, what's wrong? When they're upset, we're like, what can I do? When they say, you know what, I need to go be with my daughter, you're like, do you want me to go with you? You sit there, you listen, you touch their hand, you feel their pain. Emotionally available people get scared. They worry about other people. They um, they want other people to be happy. They want to fix people. When someone that you really love is hurting, you'll run in circles to try to help figure it out. If your daughter's struggling, your son is struggling, you want to fix the struggle. Not the right thing to do all the time, maybe sometimes, but emotionally unavailable people are very, very different. And here's the interesting thing about them: they can be very good looking, they can be very fun, they can be really attractive, they can pull you in, they can be really charismatic. But when it comes to the deep stuff, when you really need them to be there, they can't be. And by the way, it's not their fault. What science is learning about emotional unavailability, and my client and I talk about that today, is that it's often, believe it or not, genetic. In other words, someone taught you how to be that way. You weren't born that way. In fact, let me just go through something that's really interesting. What causes emotional unavailability? There are likely many causes of emotional unavailability, but childhood attachment to caregivers can sometimes be a role. More likely, someone grew up in an environment where they were denied affection and emotional support from their parents than the way that they needed it. Maybe you came from a family of 10. Maybe you came from parents who were so busy working, they never gave you the emotional support you needed. So when caregivers, whether it's a nanny or parents, deny affection and emotional support or reprimand children for emotional expression, that's another one. Maybe you were someone that when you cried, your parents said, real men don't cry, or they weren't there for you when you were scared. And so you tend to repeat this pattern of behavior as an adult. And it's really, I'm going to come back to that. Well, let me see if there's more actually. I just want to, you know me, I always do all this research and I really, really love it. Um, Children who don't express adequate responses to their emotional needs because they were taught to do this from their parents develop an avoidant attachment style. So, in other words, and this goes out to those of you who are parents of little ones, when they cry, hold them and say, what's wrong? What are you afraid of? It's okay to cry. So it's children who grew up with parents who weren't there when they were scared or when they were crying or when they didn't win the basketball game or when they felt fat or when they were having anxiety. Those are the kids that can grow up emotionally detached. They could be more independent, more physically and emotionally detached from others. In fact, emotionally unavailable people are often they're not really physical. In other words, they might love to have sex, but they don't want to hold your hand. They don't want to just sit and have passionate kisses. They don't want to lay on the couch and hold you. Now you may hold them, but they're like boards. Okay. Emotionally unavailable people are very uncomfortable with physical affection. And you're saying, why are you talking about this right now? Because I think it's really important as we come out of COVID to realize we're all looking for intimacy. I think a lot of us are looking for relationships, and I know I was. And if you connect with someone that no matter how hard you try, you can't reach them. There's a really beautiful song out there by Elton John and Sarah Bareilles called Gravity. I strongly suggest you watch it on YouTube. It's mind boggling. It's all about loving someone who can only love you from a distance and they're emotionally unavailable. They can hold you without chains and love you without touch, and yet you've never wanted anything so much. Here's the other thing that's the problem with an emotionally unavailable person that you start to fall in love with because they're fun, they're beautiful, they're interesting, is that you do fall in love with them. And then when you say, I'm falling in love with you, I want a relationship, they're going to be like, ha, really? I don't really want a relationship. I mean, who knows what they're going to do, but they probably won't connect with you. And you will fall so hard and you will sit here going, why am I not enough? What is wrong with them? What's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. And it really does come down to maybe you need to step back and say, wow, maybe this person is exactly what Lucinda was talking about, which is they're just emotionally unavailable. And no matter what I do.
Hey, Lucinda, I got my good friend Jesse here, and I wanted him to hear you for the first time.
Hi, Jesse. Hello.
Hello.
You guys, what do you think of this topic?
Yeah, it's good.
It's real, and it's one of those things where people try. Here's the thing that's weird about emotionally unavailable people is they're usually charming, attractive, they're fun, and you keep trying to pull them in. And then when you try to be with them intimately on any level, like just as a good friend, and they can't do it. And then you're like, oh, I should try harder. I need to try harder. And no matter what you do, they're not going to be there. They can't be there. They're broken. They're broken. Now,
Right.
it doesn't mean they can't be fixed, but do you want to fix them? Because the only way you can fix them is if they personally want to fix themselves. Okay. And you guys need to know, as gorgeous as you are now on YouTube with me. So if you want to say on YouTube, I'm cool with it. But
Thank you.
Or you can turn your camera off, but I'm so glad you're here. Wow. All right. So there's an understanding about emotionally unavailable people that this distance that they put up serves as a self-protective device for them to keep them from getting hurt. Okay. And so it works really well because you're dating a woman who's emotionally unavailable and she just goes, fuck you, and walks out for the night. And you're like, oh, what did I do? And you run after her and she's like, go away. I don't need this. And you're thinking, well, I must have really done something horrible. You didn't do anything. She couldn't wait to run. She couldn't wait to run. And or maybe it's the guy. And you're running after him going, oh, I'll try harder. I'm so sorry. And you're going, I messed up. No, they were looking for a reason to run. Now, by the way, we all have I have that I want to run tendency, but I'm not emotionally unavailable. I'm available. Grab me. Tell me you love me. Tell me don't leave. I'll turn around and go, I'm scared. I'm emotionally available. I'm real. Okay, so there are also a lot of different things, cultural, gender influences. Sometimes when people are going through, gender changes or sexuality concerns, they step back and they become a little emotionally unavailable because they're scared. And that's different. What I'm talking about is someone who grew up in an environment where they didn't get enough attention for their everything, their lack, their fear, their anxiety, whatever. And so they represent as an adult just distancing themselves. And what does it mean? They are incapable of a real, intimate, emotionally available relationship. How do you know these people? How do you recognize them? Well, number one, they have a very difficult time expressing emotion. In fact, it'll usually come out of sarcasm, judgment, or humor. Okay, and they can be a little narcissistic. They have an exaggerated sense of themselves. They think they're really important. Usually, they're just even if they're not, and not that because everybody is, but I'm saying if someone is emotionally unavailable, they tend to have an exaggerated sense of themselves. Okay. Like they're right, you're wrong. They're cool. They don't need you. They strut out. They have a feeling of superiority about themselves. They're better than others. Even listen, I've met people who are broke and don't really have anything who are this way. Okay, they have a sense of entitlement. People should treat them better. People should kind of fall on them. And if you're dating someone like this, they think you should treat them that way. They have a persistent need to be admired and loved and have a sense of power wherever they go, even socially. Hey man, yeah man, I'm it. I'm all that. Treat me like this. Run all over me. Wait on me hand and foot. Admire me and admire my partner. They're big on arm candy. They usually look really great. And they are, this is how you know them. And they have a persistent sense of low empathy. No matter what you're going through, they don't really get it. And they don't really care. And they will not be the one to show up by your hospital bed. Most of the time. They might, if you're in a really serious relationship with them and you're dying, but they're not likely to do that. So let's recap. This is important. You can't fix them. So if you're sitting there thinking right now, I know someone who's emotionally unavailable, you can't fix them, okay? And it's not something they can easily fix or change about themselves. If you're in a relationship with someone who's emotionally unavailable, it's important to understand that they can't turn it off. This is who they are. It's almost like a narcissist. Like, you got to know what they are. You got to be okay with it. And if you need emotional support, go get it from your girlfriend or your guy friend or somebody else. By the way, this person who's emotionally unavailable could be your mom, could be your dad. And that's hard. And you go, why? Why are they that way? And it doesn't mean you're going to be that way, but maybe you'll recognize that they're that way. And it might have been because their parents were that way. Unfortunately, we are usually the victim of the people that raised us. And if they had these issues, you might have some of them yourself. It can be managed, but it requires the person that's emotionally unavailable to admit that they are. Good luck. It's horrible unless you go to therapy and you say, there's this thing called emotional unavailability. And when my friend writes her book, you can get the book. It's going to be mind-boggling. You might be able to get a therapist or a psychologist to help you and help them. And at the end of the day, it may come down to you saying, this person, as beautiful as they are, as fun as they are, when they're in a happy place, they're happy. It's not enough for me, because you know what? I'm a hypersensitive person. I can get depressed. I can get anxious. I worry a lot. I'm going through a difficult divorce. My mother's sick, or I'm going through something and I really need a supportive person. And this person isn't going to be that person. And as much as I love them, I need to walk away. So, that's what we're here to talk about tonight. This is something that my client wrote that I'm going to share. I asked if I could. Here's her opinion of some of the symptoms of an emotionally unavailable person. No emotional responses, or simply no responses at all when you're upset about something. When communication barriers are tested, they can either not respond at all, or they'll overreact and act like you're messed up, okay? They can laugh at situations that are really hurtful to you and scary, because to them it's funny, and that's the only way they can relate. They avoid physical affection. They can do it when you're making love, but it's not real. And if you just want to be held, they're not good at that. They avoid verbal affection. That is so good. Good job, girl. Like, how about, you know what? You are so beautiful right now. I just adore you, especially when you feel really ugly and vulnerable and you put on 20 pounds because of COVID. You're stunning. I love you. They can't do it. In fact, they're almost happy that you feel bad about yourself. Inability to forgive and move past things. They don't express interest or ask questions about your life, especially the things that you're worried about. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to know more. The only way of saying you're sorry is by maybe giving you a gift. And these are really beautiful symptoms of people who are incapable of emotional availability. So with that, I'm telling you that a client of mine who's only 29 years old and really, really bright is writing a book on this. And it's got an incredible title. Oh my God. And I will have her on the show when she's done with the book. And in the meantime, I'm going to come back. I'll be back here in 2 weeks from now and talking about anxiety again, or some other crazy topic. Maybe I'll talk about the best sex over 50. I didn't knew yet. But I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad you guys are all here. And I'm going to have an incredible summer. I'm telling you, I'm not flying anywhere for the next month, not purposely. It's just that, we're taking some road trips. I love road trips. I mean, honestly, flying is going to be a nightmare for this weekend's a nightmare. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm doing local stuff. And then in the next month, I'm doing local stuff. But I wanted to tell all of you before we get into the breath session, I'm going to make this short tonight, because I've got things I have to do tonight. And I also have to kind of be careful with myself for the next week. I'm going to be back in 2 weeks. I'm going to be my little vivacious self. I came back tonight because I just wanted to let you know I'm still around. And life is really good. I'm still with my beautiful fiance. I just had a grandchild, which but now she's stunning. I babysit all the time for my 2 grandchildren. My team, we are working on some really cool projects I'm really excited about. Like I said, we are working on this new program. It will be out eventually. It's going to be fabulous. We will be doing breath retreats again, and we're still doing the podcast, and we're still doing Zoom. So I hope to see you next week on Zoom. Meanwhile, I want you to ponder about emotionally unavailable people in your life and what you're going to do about keeping them in your life and being less affected by them. All right? Peace out.